Well, Visa has been a laggard recently, underperforming both the Dow and the S&P 500, as well as peers MasterCard and American Express over the past 3 months. But one analyst sees a former headwind becoming a potential tailwind after Visa launched a stablecoin pilot program. So joining us now is the man behind the call, Dan Dolev, Mizuho senior fintech analyst, right here on set. It's great to have you back. Okay, so how does this headwind become a tailwind for Visa?
Yeah, actually, what's interesting, it's never been a headwind. It was always like a story and narrative against them. So, because you can think of yourself like you would not go to like Europe and pay with stablecoin, but the narrative was definitely negative, and then they flipped it right now, and they're piloting stablecoin transactions via Visa Direct, and Visa Direct is like so ubiquitous. It's over $1 trillion. I mean, it's growing like a 20% CAGR. It's over $1 trillion. It's about 25% of their debit volumes. And that's basically what's powering like Uber drivers, et cetera. By the way, MasterCard has very similar businesses. So it's to your point, it's never been a headwind, but it was a bad narrative. And now it's actually turning into a tailwind.
Yeah, and I think a lot of folks, to your point, didn't realize how much Visa and MasterCard were investing into the ability to do this and sort of seeing around the corner. So what does this unlock for Visa, especially if you start to basically disrupt the more traditional financial infrastructure plumbing with stablecoins? Correct.
So here's what's going to happen, and that's why we think, for example, like they're piloting it with Circle, but we actually think that Circle is in trouble, and yeah.
Okay. Sounds like another question.
Yeah, we have a sell on Circle. Yeah. So USDC is very interchangeable. I think that's what people don't understand. So they're piloting it with USDC, but USDC, there's Tether has a new US coin, right? PayPal has a coin. Everyone has a coin. So what's going to happen is you always need someone in the middle, even though people say that stablecoin is kind of without a middleman, but it turns out you do need a middleman, and that middleman is Visa and MasterCard. And you're going to be able to basically like interchangeably switch between those stable coins, and then Visa and MasterCard are going to be in the middle, and because they're the trusted sort of network that's globally accepted everywhere, right? And that's why we think that USDC is one of the many stable coins that are going to be used.
So does that mean Visa and MasterCard are effectively kingmakers in all the stablecoin talk? Because it's a situation where so many people are talking about stablecoins and how they're going to win. Somebody has to lose, right? I mean, these are markets, so not everybody can win in stablecoins. Somebody's going to pick the wrong one, or it's not going to be underpinned the right kind of way. Tell me the scenario in which somebody loses. Maybe it's Circle, since you said you don't like them.
So Circle, I mean, the reason Circle, we think, is in trouble is because, not because, I mean, the USDC circulation is not really moving. And remember, people don't really realize it. As rates come down, this is the only way they make revenue is, treasuries. And when rates come down, they make less revenues. And those partnerships are actually hurting them. Who's losing here? The banks, right? Because right now, all these cross-border transactions are going through the banks. And so stablecoin is really not disrupting like the networks or anything else. They're actually disrupting the banks. So those are I would say, like the losers of the stablecoin revolution.
So how do the banks figure this out? Because usually banks don't just kind of sit there and lose.
They make their money elsewhere, right? Remember, they make their money lending, in lending, mortgages, yada, yada, yada. So they, SWIFT and like all the traditional rails or pipes globally, it's not really how they make money. But they're losing on volumes, but I don't think they're losing financially as much. But they're losing their position as, I would say, like the pillars of global finance. I would say that's probably true.
All right.